Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we are going to get all of the Epstein files once and for all. Nah, son, that's not about to happen. My subscribers already know that. This battle was lost months ago. Now, I think many of the left-wing media folks know this, but they rather juice all the views from you and make you feel like, oh, we're finally going to get the Epstein files. Trump is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that those files don't come out. I leave it to your brain to figure out why that is. But I want to talk about what's going to happen tomorrow before it happens, so I can take full credit for knowing what the hell I'm talking about, versus you can compare what I say now with what other people are saying on their channels. Right-wing channels, probably mostly silent, not really talking about what's happening tomorrow. The really top-tier ones that are really clever, they'll have an angle where they can sort of spin this sort of thing, but most of them probably find some other stuff to talk about. The auto pen, for example. Yeah. Let's talk. So first of all, let's talk about what's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow is Friday, December 19th, and they basically signed into law. I'm looking at my notes here. Basically signed into law HR 4405, Epstein Files Transparency Act, enacted November 19, 2025, with a 30-day clock that lands on December 19, 2025. That is tomorrow. And this is the Debate Me channel. Click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Okay, let's get into it. In the lead up, DOJ leadership has already tried to pour cold water on expectations. For example, the July 2025, there's no client list. This is just a conspiracy theory. Right. Messaging and the nothing further posture that we've seen. Separately, the House Oversight has released estate materials, photos, and records, and the Democrats have been doing more of that right up against the deadline. Now, I want you to take note that the people who claim that they care about the victims and really need to release the files and they care about law and order, somehow they don't give any praise to the Democrats for actually releasing more of the files. I mean, they're doing it with Republicans, but the Democrats are the main ones pushing this, right? Meanwhile, you have Democrats who are saying, well, Trump does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize because of what he did for the hostages in Gaza, right? Yeah, Democrats willing to give Trump credit for a peace deal in Gaza, even though they're still bombing in Gaza. But anyway, but for some reason, all these people who are definitely honest and definitely good faith, all of a sudden they can't say a simple thing like, Democrats are corrupt and I hate them and they want to trans everybody, but at least they're the ones releasing these files that we want. And I don't understand why the people I vote for are blocking them. Like, what in the hell? If the Democrats are stupid enough to expose themselves, then let them do it, right? An idiot might say, well, that's not what they're going to do. They're gonna just release stuff selectively to make the Republicans look bad. Is that why Noam Chomsky photos were pushed out? Is that why that representative from the Virgin Islands was exposed? Seems like they're exposing their own people, and almost like they're just exposing, I'm not saying everyone that they're talking about is a criminal, but they're exposing criminals and anyone that might be involved. Like, they're just putting information out. And even if it's not like perfect, isn't more information better than no information? Especially when it's not like literally they're just releasing like, here's a picture of Trump and here's a picture of Trump. No, they're releasing Democrats as well, right? They're releasing pictures of like nonpartisan stuff, right? Because they show stuff where like the rooms. Let's see the rooms and let's see more of what was going on there. There's a dentist chair thing. Like, that's not like, ooh, making Trump look bad. Like, that's just in the files. That's what we're getting from Democrats, right? Now, if you really don't care about the files, everything that presents a positive from the Democrat side. I don't like the Democrats. I've never been a registered Democratic Party voter. Probably never will be. Same thing for the Republican Party, right? I'm a true independent through and through. But anyway, every time the Democrats release something, it's getting more information out. And again, you're not getting it from Republicans. You're not getting it from Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump, right? That is demonstrably true. They're not literally just releasing, Republican stuff. And they are releasing more files. Trump has the power to destroy all of these Democrats in terms of releasing information. Now, some would say that information actually would kind of destroy himself first. But if you believe that he's innocent and it's just Democrat, partisan games, well, he has the ability to crush them. All that little pictures here and pictures there. Trump, they've got truckloads of files, man. He could release files today, and all of a sudden you hear about indictments for this billionaire and that billionaire and this elite, and then Clinton getting indicted and somebody else on the Republican side getting indicted. Trump has the power to indict a bunch of criminals. And the fact that the average Republican voter is not completely furious with Trump and completely abandoned him already, completely realizing that he's a joke and he's part of this cover-up, shows that they never were interested in the files. But anyway, let me tell you about what's going to happen. So, in my view, first of all, I will maintain what I've been saying for months now. Trump is going to do anything in his power to stop the release of these files. I'll leave it to you to think about why he would do such a thing. He's going to do whatever it takes to not release those files. But he's also going to protect himself, so he's going to use his sort of scapegoats or lackeys, whatever it is. So it's going to appear like Pam Bondi's the one blocking it. He wants it out, but Pam Bondi's getting in the way. Dan Bongino's getting in the way. Well, he's out of the picture now. It's Kash Patel's getting in the way. But it's really all him. It's him pulling the strings, right? They work for him, right? That's why they supposedly wanted the files out until they got to working for him. Then all of a sudden, well, there's nothing to see here, and blah, 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 and there's an ongoing investigation. It's Trump, right? They will do anything to stop these files from coming out. I'll leave it to you to understand why. I'm not going to tell you why. You figure that one out. You look at what I'm saying now and what happens tomorrow, and then you figure that out. I'm expecting a massive dump of information regarding the Epstein files. That's not what you expected, did you? If that's the case, perhaps you're a little bit of a partisan. You've been watching left-wing media, and they're only giving you sort of a one-sided view. Or, you've been watching conservative media, and you expect my position to be that they're not going to release any files. Tomorrow they're just going to say, no, we're not releasing the files, blah, 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 blah. No. I hate when we have these kind of conversations because it's like people somehow, it's like they're born yesterday. They don't know about how to be subversive, right? They've never heard of the idea of being sneaky and being sly. They were never children. They don't have children themselves, so they don't know about games, right? If you have half a brain, then you know at least to expect there's going to be games, right? In terms of, if there's people out there saying that Trump's going to block these files, you shouldn't expect, what they're claiming is that he's just not going to release the files, and that's dumb. No, you should be saying, okay, if they think he's not going to release the files, they're suggesting there's going to be some kind of some games being played, right? It's not going to be just black and white. What kind of game would they play? One of the best games to play. And people, if you're a partisan left-winger, you just look at Trump as a buffoon, and he is a buffoon. And you're not smart enough to realize that not everybody around him is a buffoon, and some people around him have good strategy. They're not insane, and they're in his ear, right? So he's got a lot of influences around him. So don't think that anything Trump does is just out of his buffoon brain, partisan left-wingers, right? So we've seen strategy before. I mean, he won. Second time around, he won the presidency again, after all. So somebody's got some strategy. It might not be him, but somebody's got some strategy, right? So what's the strategy? Massive dumps tomorrow, right? But why? I thought they said they were going to block the files. The game is not release the files or not release the files. The game is do whatever it takes to cover up any information that implicates Trump and his allies and elites, right? unless they determine that is an elite they want to go after. But if they go after one elite, especially talking people with a lot of money, they're going to expose themselves, right? That person's going to retaliate, and there's a lot of people guilty, right? Clearly. Why is the government? Why is this a government level cover-up, right? If it wasn't a lot of people involved, it couldn't be a government level cover-up, right? Because it'd be a lot of people in the government pushing back and saying, what the hell's going on? We got to release these files, man, right? But if they're all working together, that means a lot of people's hands are dirty, right? So, the thing is, whether you release the files completely, even protecting the identity of victims and safety and whatever, right? You can do that. Tons of files, tons of information that would definitely lead to indictments and charges on multiple people. You could do that. That's what I say is not going to happen, right? So releasing a bunch of files is not necessarily that, right? You can release a lot of files and have it be a bunch of stuff we've seen before. I mean, that's a game they've already done. Why would you not expect them to not do the same thing they've been doing before? Because it's been working. Republican voters have been dumb enough to sit there and think, well, actually, Trump is going to release the files. It's because of the protection of the victims, and then the grand jury testimony, the judge tried to block it, and blah, blah, blah. It's been working. Why would they not try the same scheme, right? So, and why would they release a lot of files? The more files they release, the more it looks like, hey, we're releasing files. And then instantly the rhetoric changes to, this is a Democrat, because the right-wing media, a lot of them are actually not morons, but they think conservatives are morons. So that's why they talk to them like they're morons. That's why they say things like Democrat Party, right? Because it's like everyone else who knows that it's Democratic Party, they see the media you're watching, don't even know the name of the only two major parties, and they're just like, man, this show is for really low IQ people. So I guess these people watching it must be really low IQ, right? They're okay with you guys looking stupid as hell, right? Because you can criticize the Democrats and say whatever you want, and educate your audience and call the party the right name, because many of your audience don't even know the name of the party, which makes them look really stupid. And these influencers are okay with that. But anyway, you release a bunch of files, and it's stuff we've seen before. It's a bunch of mumbo jumbo that doesn't really mean anything. It's basically anything other than stuff that would lead to indictments on elites like Trump and his friends, like Clinton. Think about this. I believe Clinton is guilty. I believe Bill Gates is guilty. I believe there are many other liberals who are guilty. And Trump has the ability to get these people locked up. He's got all the files. So why is he playing games like, oh, let's talk about the grand jury, knowing the grand jury testimony is not going to have the good stuff, right? Why are they releasing stuff we've seen before? Why all the games? Why is Clinton not being indicted, right? Dummies. Because this is a massive cover-up, right? It's not a partisan thing, right? This is the elites against the regular people. And the regular people are sticking up for each other, right? I'm sorry, the elites are sticking up for each other, right? So, it's going to be a bunch of procedural mumbo-jumbo. I'm assuming there's going to be tons of stuff that makes Epstein look really, really bad because he's dead, right? So who cares, right? Oh, here's proof of something else that Epstein did, and Epstein did this other thing, and Epstein did, and conveniently, everything he did is like by himself. Like, oh, he did that. Well, who was helping him? Oh, well, right? So tons of information about Epstein making him look bad. Maxwell, I don't know. Will they screw her over? And I don't know, man, because they would risk her saying stuff. But she's probably already gotten a warning if she says stuff, something happens to her, even though that would look bad. But, I mean, this is America, right? So let's focus on stuff that exposes Epstein, right? So a lot of stuff that exposes, the stuff that's really incriminating exposes the guy who's dead. Other stuff is dead ends, didn't really go anywhere. You have so many gaps that it's kind of like, well, I guess they never really found anything. Just basically, it's just nothing that leads to indictments or charges. And then the rhetoric becomes that the Democrats will never stop. Look at how much we've released this, we released that. At this point, we've released 100,000 files. How many files is it going to take to get them to stop? 100,001, 100,002, 200,000 files. Like, what's the number? What's the number, Democrats? And then again, maybe that's the thing. Like, every time in an interview, well, I want to ask you a question. No, I want to ask you a question. You've asked a lot of questions. I want to ask you a question. What's the number that you think the Democrats will stop with this Epstein stuff? Instead of focusing on what the American people care about, which is the economy and bringing costs down, right? That's going to be the rhetoric. Look at how much we released, and Democrats are still playing games. It's all because they know they're losing. They've been losing. They're out of power. And that's all they got is try to, Russia, right? So the more files that they release, the better it looks in terms of them being able to say, hey, we released the files, man. Then there's the redactions. Tons of redactions, right? Oh, the privacy of whatever, da-da-da. Look at how the Democrats have been releasing way more files than the Republicans have, even though, and this is how I tell you people have bad faith. In the moment that the Democrats are leading the way by a mile in releasing Epstein files, people, when confronted with, like, why is your boy not releasing the files, they say, well, why didn't the Democrats release the files? They are! Right now, they're doing it! We're seeing more information. We're learning about Democrats who were involved, right? They're exposing the files. They're exposing their own people, right? Should they have released the files when they were in power? Yes. But the only people who care about that are people who are involved in the cover-up, right? Because people who are involved in the cover-up want you to talk about everything else, but let's get these files out, right? That's what the creeps and the elites want you to think about. Think about, why didn't the Democrats release the files? That's what the Republicans are saying. That's what the elites are saying, right? So if you're with the elites against your common fellow American, then keep talking about, why didn't the Democrats, even as they're releasing the files right now, and Trump is blocking them, right? Be a dumb fuck or a bad faith person, or basically a liar or a moron or both, and keep talking about what the Democrats didn't do while they're doing it right now, literally. So it's redactions, it's a bunch of stuff that doesn't really lead anywhere, and then the final piece of the puzzle is anything beyond that is like, oh, there's an ongoing investigation and we can't release it. That's how. Look, that's what they did, man. They were blocking it. They were blocking it. They were blocking it. Wow. They were blocking it and blocking it and blocking it. Wow. Okay. And then Trump said, okay, start an investigation. Then right after that, he said, you know what? Release the files. Release. I don't care. Release the files. Right after he says start. So he doesn't want to release them. All kinds of excuses. And, why are we still talking about this? And then in a minute, he's like looking really bad. Looks like a bunch of people are going to turn on him. He's like, start an investigation. And then he says, oh, release the files, right? Knowing that by starting an investigation, they have an excuse that they can go to infinity. 5 years from now, they can still say, we're investigating. What are you investigating? What have you found out? What's going on? Oh, it's an investigation. We can't really release it. It's top secret, right? So the investigation just goes on forever. Americans are easily distracted, so they'll move on to some other thing, right? In spite of what they might tell you, no, we really care about the victims, blah, blah, blah. They'll move on to some other thing. And then, if somebody brings it up again, well, we're investigating, right? So it's we're investigating for any more information than what they release. And then what they do release is a bunch of stuff that nobody cares about, stuff we've seen before, or stuff that incriminates Jeffrey Epstein, right? And then again, the talking point is, it's never going to stop. Look how much we release, and they're still asking for more. It's all a game. It's a partisan game. We want to focus on the economy. Meanwhile, they're not doing anything about it, right? It's not like they're doing something or they're really working on it. They would mostly like to work on talking about the economy and that they're working on it in the context of people bringing up the Epstein files, right? No Epstein file conversation. We're trolling. We're demolishing the East Wing, and we're putting up trolling stuff in the White House, and we're doing crypto stuff, and and then it's like, oh, but what about the Epstein files? Well, we want to talk about healthcare. That's what the American people care about. They care about healthcare. They care about bringing costs down, right? They won't ever want to talk about healthcare and bringing costs down any more than when someone's talking about Epstein, right? Let's stop talking about Epstein. Then it's like, oh, The economy, it's great, man. Everything's fine, right? But what about Epstein? The economy. We got to talk about the economy. Question is, are the Republican voters dumb enough to continue falling for this? Well, considering that a lot of Americans are so buried in propaganda that a lot of them don't think for themselves, whatever they think is just based on what's fed to them by the media they consume, and considering that right-wing media is going to tell them that, hey, there's nothing to see here, and basically whatever the elites are saying, that's what you're going to get from Tim Pool, you're going to get from, all these right-wing buffoons. So that means the Republican voters will fall for it, right? Because they're going to do what they've always done, which is what they're told. Sorry to say. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. And feel free to bookmark this video and come back tomorrow to tell me, you were wrong, look how they released the files, and indictments are starting, and Clinton's going to jail now, and this and that, and Pelosi, and this and that, and the Democrats, and all the Democrats released all these stupid photos, but Trump actually released the real information. Come back tomorrow and tell me about how they released the tax information to expose the tax evasion and other crimes involved. Come back and tell me that, right? Make me feel so bad about how dumb I was making this video. I welcome you to do that. But that's not going to happen. You're going to watch this video, you're going to make fun, you're going to call me names, you might leave, angry comment or something. And then when tomorrow happens and you see that this guy actually was right, then it's kind of like, whatever. Then you're just going to log off. That's what I think is going to happen. But if not, prove me wrong, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is Debate Me channel. Debate Me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Shout out to Sandy. Shout out to Lisa. And shout out to Chuck. Oh, man, I messed up your name. Anyway, I'm out. But you know what's not out? The Epstein files. That ain't gonna happen. Nope. Not on Trump's watch. And you comment below and let me know why you think that is. I'll be waiting.